Coventry City last competed at the absolute summit of English football. A generation of Sky Blue supporters has endured an incredible, turbulent journey, descending all the way to the harsh reality of the fourth tier before mounting a defiant, romantic ascent back to where they feel they belong. And English football has drafted the ultimate opening night baptism of fire, kicking off the brand new league campaign under the Friday night lights against the reigning champions of England, who endured their own 22-year title wait just 3 months ago. For the hosts, this marks the first step in a historic mission to retain a league championship for the first time since 1935. For the visitors, tonight is the long-awaited payoff for an emphatic 11-point title romp in the second tier. It is the ultimate curtain raiser, matching romantic revival against the undisputed heavyweight standard setters of the country. My name is Charlie McGuinness. A very warm welcome to London as a brand new league season finally gets underway. The summer break is over, the slate is wiped clean across the country, and match day one begins with a fascinating clash of reigning champions. Mikel Arteta's title-winning hosts against Frank Lampard's reborn Coventry side. Both sets of players spent their summers basking in the glory of major silverware, some chasing additional trophies, some even winning it. But as Arteta noted earlier this week, everything resets to zero from the first kick tonight. Conditions in North London are pristine under the floodlights, with a packed house and a noisy, defiant travelling contingent from the Midlands creating an electric wall of sound in the away end. And as the standalone fixture of the evening, both clubs have the undivided spotlight of the opening weekend firmly fixed upon them. Arsenal set the gold standard last season, constructing a ruthlessly efficient side that conceded just 27 goals and gave up the fewest quality chances in the division. Now, for the first time in over 2 decades, they start a campaign not chasing the summit, but defending the crown, carrying all the pressure that comes with being the hunted. Standing in their way is Frank Lampard, a man who knows every blade of grass in this stadium and across this city. Across an illustrious playing and managerial career, he has faced Arsenal 49 times, famously striking in North London to halt the Invincibles in Europe 22 years ago. He has transformed Coventry into a fearless front foot side that poured in 97 league goals last term, backed by over £120 million of ambitious summer investment. Opening day under the lights always stirs up ghosts of the past, and Coventry fans need a reminding of August 1993, when Mickey Quinn's famous hat-trick here in the capital ripped up the script and spoiled the hosts' party on day one. Replicating that feat against an Arsenal side that has gone 45 straight home league games without defeats against promoted opposition is as daunting as it gets. But having scrapped their way back from the depths of the fourth tier, the Sky Blues won't be easily intimidated. Mikel Arteta, meanwhile, stands on the cusp of history himself, knowing a winning start tonight would make him only the 5th manager to reach 150 top-flight victories in under 250 matches. And he makes 2 changes from the side that secured the Community Shield against Manchester City last weekend. David Raya starts in goal, and with William Saliba facing an extended spell on the sidelines with a back injury and Jurrien Timber working his way back from a groin injury, Christian Mosquera steps in to partner Gabriel in central defence, flanked by Ben White on the right and Ricardo Calafiori on the left. Declan Rice steps straight back into the starting lineup alongside captain Martin Ødegaard following their summer exploits. With summer signing Bruno Guimaraes ruled out through a knock picked up last weekend, it's 19-year-old Miles Lewis-Skelly who gets the opportunity from the start in the engine room. Bukayo Saka is restored to the right wing. Kai Havertz gets the nod over former Coventry striker Victor Gyökeres through the middle, and Greek forward Christos Solis makes his full debut on the left following his big money switch from Club Brugge. Gabriel Martinelli is omitted entirely from the matchday squad despite being fit, while Ethan Nwaneri and last season's breakout star Max Dowman take their place on the bench. Carl Rushworth starts in goal for Coventry after sealing a permanent transfer from Brighton. He prevented more goals than any keeper in the second tier last season, Swiss international Aurel Amenda makes his debut at centre-back alongside Bobby Thomas, with Milan van Ewijk and Jay De Silva providing width at fullback. Franken-Yaker partners Matt Grimes in the central pivot, giving freedom to 20-year-old Ghanaian summer standout and club record signing Caleb Yarenki on his full debut. With last season's top goal scorer Haji Wright ruled out for up to 12 weeks with a quad injury, Ellis Sims leads the attack, flanked by Brandon Thomas Asante and dynamic new signing Loom Chowner on the wings. Proven Premier League striker Taiwo Awoniyi starts among the substitutes alongside Gustavo Hamer. It's Coventry City kicking us off. They are underway in North London. After a bizarre, bloated summer of theatrical Viking rows, three-minute hydration breaks in air-conditioned domes, endless drone shows, head-scratching presidential decrees from high-ranking suits to overturn red cards, the circus has finally packed away its tents. The synthetic pantomime is done, and real, tribal domestic football has finally returned to save us from ourselves. Coventry City with the early corner, swung in left-footed to the near post. It's up in the air by Calafiori, who'll get a second bite of it and gets it out, where it is Matt Grimes, the former Exeter City man, who picks up the ball, looks for Yarenki on the edge of the penalty area, dispossessed by Declan Rice. And Arsenal with their first touch of the ball here this evening, and what is a stadium in North London that is at fever pitch. The pre-match anthem, North London Forever, rang around this glittering bowl. It's a modern stadium compared to the one that Coventry City last played in against Arsenal in the top flight. It's befitting of Premier League champions, of top flight champions. And it's a night that all these players will remember. Of their starting 11 tonight, Carl Rushworth, Aurel Amenda, Loom Chowner, Caleb Yarenki. They were all born after Coventry's last match in the Premier League in the top flight versus Bradford back in May 2001. Here's Declan Rice in the centre circle. Now Ben White for Martin Odegaard. Arsenal in their traditional home kit, red shirts, white sleeves, white shorts and red socks. Coventry in blue and white stripes, black shorts and sky blue socks. Ball given away in the middle of the park to Chowner. Here comes Caleb Yarenki bursting forward down the left-hand side. In fact, it's Brandon Thomas Asante who started on the left-hand side, tucked backwards by Jay De Silva to Matt Grimes. And it's back via Amenda to Carl Rushworth, looking long for Ellis Sims, wins that in front of Gabriel. There is Chowner on the right-hand side, beaten to it though by Christos Solis. Solis arrives at Arsenal carrying some red-hot momentum, having registered a goal or an assist in 15 consecutive competitive club appearances, dating all the way back to March. Arsenal also hold plenty of game-changing firepower in reserve with the likes of Gyökeres, Eberechi Eze and Mikel Merino. Here's Ben White, Mosquera. Miles Lewis Skelly, who so far has been the one of that trio in midfield for Arsenal to drop between the two defenders. It's strong defending from Bobby Thomas, drops Van Ewijk on the far side. Here's Grimes, back to Thomas, now Carl Rushworth. His starting position is a good 12 yards outside his penalty area. Well, for the travelling contingent away in that far corner have made the journey down the M1 and piled out of Highbury and Islington Station this evening. Tonight must feel completely surreal. Their side on the front foot here down the right-hand side, but you have to think back to the darker days, scrapping in the fourth tier, losing 6-2 at home to Yeovil. Or former captain Michael Doyle literally frog-marching a remonstrating supporter off the turf during a home defeat to Forest Green. To be standing here under the floodlights in North London, trading passes with the champions of England, the finalists of Europe's top competition last season, It's nothing short of a modern footballing resurrection. Here's Solis on the left-hand side. Can he become a new Gunners hero? Onto the edge of the penalty area. Solis with the strike, it's over the crossbar. There's the stadium, and all the Arsenal supporters got just as excited as I did, though we might have seen the opening goal of this season. And yes, if you are listening as a supporter of a lower league club, we are aware football has started in the lower tiers. Tonight, England's top flight gets underway. What a game we've got on our hands as well. When the fixture list was released weeks ago, this one really caught the eye. Not only the champions of the top flight against the champions of the second division, the league just below the Premier League. It's also that return by Frank Lampard, who was so often a thorn in Arsenal's side during his playing career. It was actually a thorn in Mikel Arteta's side. Inflicted his first defeat as Chelsea manager. They faced each other 6 times as managers since that initial defeat. It's been all Arteta ever since. Here's Odegaard, right-hand side, stepping into a central position, square to Miles Lewis-Skelly. He's closed down by Yerenki. Now Declan Rice out to the right-hand side for Ben White. Thomas Asante got tight. Lewis-Skelly to Rice into the channel. Runs Christos Solis. There's Bukayo Saka on the 6-yard line. It's really good defending from Arella Menda. A summer signing from Eintracht Frankfurt for Coventry City as they reinforce. We mentioned £120 million has been committed by the Sky Blues. It's a corner kick for Arsenal, and it's going to be Bukayo Saka to take it. This was one of Arsenal's strongest elements last year. Saka into the penalty area. Ben White can turn. Square to the edge of the box. Solis tried to side-foot it into the bottom corner. Bobby Thomas was in the way. Here's Thomas Asante down the right-hand side. Closed down by Gabriel. Trying to box Coventry into their own half of the pitch. Brandon Thomas Asante's been dispossessed. Christos Solis appeals for the handball as Bobby Thomas came across. Well, there have been some changes this season to what you might be used to. We'll try and bring you up to speed with all of those developments and how the top flight has evolved this season. The start of this season anyway, in the summer they've tried to mix things up, especially from a refereeing perspective. It was a goal-bound effort from Christos Solis a few moments ago. It's Bobby Thomas, the Coventry City centre-back, who was in the right place at the right time. Thomas. Started his career with Burnley. He'd make a top-flight appearance while he was still at the club back in 2021-22. He's progressed via the likes of Barnsley and Bristol Rovers to finally becoming a really important part of this Coventry City side under Frank Lampard, as Rice takes a strike on from a long way out, which soars over the crossbar. And a goal kick, Carl Rushworth. He spent the season on loan last year, but has made that move permanent. £22 million he cost him. He's been joined as well by Dan Bentley, the former Wolves goalkeeper. He's Mosquera. Raya's clearance. An awkward connection. There's Jay De Silva just to bump Saka out of the way. There's a Yaker. Formerly of Brentford. Left the Bees in the summer for £6 million. Team experience at this level. Something that Coventry City was severely lacking. It's forward by De Silva. It's not close enough to Brandon Thomas Asante. There's Saka on the right-hand side. De Silva backpedaling. Saka's cut back. Looped up off of Ellis Sims. And that's onto the roof of the net. And will be another corner kick for Arsenal. Made a bright start here, the Gunners. Saka's always going to be a threat. And Jay De Silva has his hands full. Another opportunity for the likes of Martin Odegaard to deliver from this near side. There's that familiar sight for Arsenal players all over the shoulder of the Coventry City defenders. They would have been working on this all week in training. In fact, it's Saka, and it's held onto by Carl Rushworth. A good claim from the Coventry City goalkeeper. It's going to have to be at his best tonight. The whistle blows for the challenge on Chelner in a central position. Tonight's referee Thomas Bramall. Keep a close eye on stoppages tonight because the IFAB and the league have rolled out significant law changes designed to try and accelerate match tempo. Any player who receives on-pitch medical assessment must now remain off the field for a full 60 seconds after play restarts. That's up from 30 from last year. Most intriguing trial are just the goalkeepers, though, to kill off orchestrated tactical timeouts which were starting to infiltrate the game, where managers gather the squad as the keeper goes down. An outfield teammate must now leave the pitch for a minute if players halted for goalkeeper treatment. Throw-ins and goal kicks also under a strict 5-minute countdown. We have seen that across leagues across Europe in the opening few weeks of the season and during pre-season as well. If they exceed that 5-second countdown, possession reversed directly to the opponent in terms of a throw-in, or a corner awarded in terms of a goal kick. There's Amenda out to the right-hand side for Van Ewijk. Now Chelner. It's Grimes. Back to Thomas. Scores the goal that sealed promotion. He marched to the title in the end, Coventry City. It was one to remember. Thrown on the far side. Van Ewijk has scooped the ball up from the advertising hoardings on that far side. In by Van Ewijk. Looking for Urenki on the edge of the penalty area. Excuse me, Frank and Yaker won it back, but Ellis Sims it is who is penalised for the foul. It's Mosquera. There it is again. Lewis Skelly coming to collect the ball from the two centre-backs. There's one of a number of players in the Arsenal ranks who have had question marks over their futures, one of which is on the bench, Ethan Nwaneri. Well, interesting quirks about the new rules around squad costs and what they refer to as SCR, PSR, is that those academy products deemed good enough for first-team football. There's Havertz on the edge of the penalty area. Sweeps it home. Arsenal take the lead. Milan van Ewijk dawdled. Ricardo Calafiori won it back. Played to the edge of the box. And there was Havertz to sweep it home. Arsenal have liftoff. Just stroked it home, did Kai Havertz. It all comes from Milan van Ewijk over that far side. A long diagonal out there, played by Ben White. It was intended for Christos Solis, who stuck to his task. Van Ewijk tried to clear. I think he was looking for the throw-in with the ricochet of Christos Solis. They were hunting in pairs there, Arsenal. It was Solis who poked it away, found Ricardo Calafiori. Bobby Thomas had dropped to try and offer Van Ewijk an option. Instead, he's played Calafiori on side and left some space in the penalty area. Amenda isn't quick enough to close down Kai Havertz, who takes it first time from just inside the box. Carl Rushworth tries, but in vain, to get down low to his left. Mikel Arteta punches the air with glee. It's Arsenal 1, Coventry City 0. Well, it's the first goal of the league season. It looked simple, it was far from it. There's Gabriel in the centre circle. If Coventry had any illusions about the gravity of their task this evening and the league season to come, well, brought back down to earth with a bump. Kai Havertz silence that very noisy group of Coventry fans on the far side. That's backwards by Saka. White to the edge of the penalty area. A little back heel by Lewis Skelly to find Declan Rice. Rice 30 yards from goal, clips it towards the left-hand side of the box. Tried to force it in there, did Kai Havertz, with options in the form of Solis and Saka. Ricardo Calafiori went looking for Kai Havertz, who was out on the left-hand side. He lets it run because he knew he was coming back for an offside position. That will be a Coventry City throw-in. Frank Lampard with his arms crossed. There's an exuberant figure, usually on the touchline. Won't have enjoyed seeing that one hit the back of his goalkeeper's net. Almost relished playing against Arsenal. Did lose 24 times in his playing career. Scored 5 goals, set up 6 in all competitions. Turn your attention as well back to December 2001, Boxing Day. That's his first away goal against Arsenal. 25-yard drive. They lost that one by 2-1. His favoured memories probably back here in May 2009 as Chelsea dominated a 4-1 win. He picked up 2 assists in Chelsea's biggest ever win here. It's a long clearance by Carl Rushworth. Arsenal have an impressive record on opening day. Kai Havertz's goal is their 200th. Goal in the first game of the season. Ricardo Calafiori's winning at Old Trafford last year, making it 199. They've won 4 consecutive opening day matches, beaten Palace, Forest, Wolves and Man United. They'll go on to win tonight. That would equal a club record of 5 in a row from 2001 right the way to 2005. Incidentally, if we're looking at opening day statistics, Alexander Lacazette is the only player in Premier League history to score the first goal of the entire league season twice. It was Steve Bold who scored Arsenal's first ever goal in this league back in 1992. It's Mosquera. That's back to Raya. But now Gabriel. Solis, Rice, wide to Saka. Saka, awkward for De Silva, moved on by White, laid off by Ødegaard. Lewis Skelly looks for Calafiori. Intended for Havertz, and Bobby Thomas gets his body across. Takes the contact, wins the free kick. Reminder, you are listening to independent, unofficial commentary of this English top-flight fixture between Arsenal and Coventry. We do always appreciate your attention on evenings like this. We'll be with you for the entire duration of the season. Strap yourselves in. It's going to be a long 9-month slog to find out who will lift the trophy. So that's the bookmakers. Arsenal, the odds-on favourites to retain. The likes of Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea as well. Many people's dark horses will have something to say about that. Ødegaard to Declan Rice, lovely move from Arsenal, edge of the penalty area, wide to Solis, low into the 6-yard box. Rushworth to Saka, who taps home for Arsenal's second. Have to say it was poor from Carl Rushworth. Palms it straight into Bukayo Saka's path. A gift of a goal for the England international. It was a lovely move. Set up by Solis, finished off by Bukayo Saka. And Arsenal pick up where they left off. His first goal for the Gunners since the 2nd of May against Fulham. That one finished 3-0 to the Gunners. Could this one as well? Menda has got sucked across to the near post. He's left 2 unmarked. Have to feel for Jay De Silva, who's got no help at all. Well, 23 minutes gone. And that baptism of fire we alluded to in the introduction is coming to fruition. You might have remembered in the 3rd-4th playoff in Miami, Bukayo Saka picked up a hat-trick that evening. I don't think he'll repeat the feat tonight. Here's Frank Onyeka, Ellis Sims. Just pop loose from Martin Ødegaard outside the centre circle, inside his own half of the pitch. Coventry City, though, can't make the most of it. At the midway point of this first half, Arsenal in total control. Arsenal recently announced the signing of Ezri Konsa for Aston Villa for an estimated £55 million. He adds another building block to a defensive unit that needs reinforcement. The loss of William Saliba is going to be a prolonged one, at least 2 months. It cut short his involvement in that international tournament this summer. Well, without Jurrien Timber as well, he wasn't able to take his place in the Netherlands squad that travelled to the United States, Mexico and Canada. Got decent cover on the left-hand side, and Ricardo Calafiore has shown what he can do getting forward already in this game. Pierre Capier can provide some versatility on that side as well. I have hopes that 16-year-old Marley Salmon will be able to step up as well. They'll be developing through the cups. Active in the transfer market, we've already mentioned Christos Solis and Bruno Guimaraes. And, widely expecting to have agreed a deal with 18-year-old England youth international Igor Tyjon. Scored 7 goals in 21 appearances at academy level. This is Lewis Skelly. Lewis Skelly, too strong for Chauner, who tries to get back at him in the process. Fouls the Arsenal number 49, and in the process he'll receive a yellow card. Caleb Llorenci. So just 20 years old. He's a breakout star of that Ghana squad, playing alongside his international colleague Brandon Thomas Asante. They gave England a real scare, didn't they, in the group stage? Oh, could have got another way. Set piece from deep here for Arsenal. And Martin Ødegaard to take. It's down the left-hand side. Solis looks for Havertz. It's a little shove on Matt Grimes. And Thomas Bramall refereeing his 3rd Arsenal game. Previously oversaw Arsenal's 1-0 win over Crystal Palace and their 2-1 win over Mansfield Town. Took 22 Premier League games last season. Average of 4 cards again. There were 2 reds and 6 penalties awarded by the referee. VAR is in operation. It's Jared Gillett who heads the Stockley Park video team, assisted by Neil Davis. Here's Llorenci to Chauner. Chauner to Llorenci. Back to Chauner. Van Ewijk to Grimes. And cross wires. It's taken away by Solis. Ødegaard. Overrun that. There's Frank Onyeka, known as Frank the Tank during his Brentford days. Bit of a wall in that midfield. Sims matches onto the long clearance from Rushworth. Ball drops into midfield to Onyeka. Now here is Chauner. Give for Thomas Asante. Lost control, and Mosquera comes away with it. That's going to be a foul by Loam to Chauner. And that will be a free kick for Arsenal just outside their penalty area. One thing that struck us was really noticeable from the league last year was just how much more competitive it is. Coventry City will be putting their hopes on that continuing this season. Landscape across the country underway. It's a dramatic shift. For over 2 decades, The financial chasm between those at the top and those in the bottom three had widened, but the last year the gap between top four and bottom three collapsed from 44 points to just 26. That's the tightest margin in 23 years. 13 clubs finished down between 40 and 60 points. Villa reaching Europe's top table with fewer points than they had when finishing 7th the year before, while Bournemouth secured their first European adventure in club history. Unprecedented mid-table squeeze where no fixture really can be taken for granted. Tonight, though, this might be a safer bet than most, based on proceedings so far. On clearance from Carl Rushworth. It's Chalner. Tries to find Ellis Sims with the head. Sims has touched the ball just 8 times. Rice. That's the Greek international Christos Solis. Solis back to Rice. Rice with the switch of play towards Saka. Won by Thomas Asante. Here's Ødegaard, fed by Ben White. Ødegaard spins in the middle. Finds Lewis Skelly, wide again to White. White to the edge of the penalty area. There's Kai Havertz. Ødegaard. Havertz. Rice. Saka wide again. White darts past him. Saka goes infield to Declan Rice. Ødegaard, 3 around the Norwegian. White to Saka. Saka to Lewis Skelly. Martin Ødegaard. Wide for Ben White. Back to Martin Ødegaard. Ødegaard for William Saliba. Here's Calafiori on the far side. Back to Mosquera on the edge of the centre circle. Arsenal dominating possession so far, 63 to 37 the last I checked. Saka for Rice. Slotting in the right back position at the moment, the England international. Stood in for Harry Kane. In the World Cup, whenever the Bayern Munich striker wasn't on the pitch. Ødegaard. Gabriel. Mosquera forward. Laid off by Solis. Now here's Gabriel. Christian Mosquera. By Lewis Skelly. It's aside by Calafiori. Westfield ball by Miles Lewis Skelly. Finds Bukayo Saka. As De Silva backpedaling again. De Silva retreating. Ben White lets it run. Ødegaard back to White. And it's a good block from Amenda, excuse me. Here's Rice. White. It's a high ball. Blocked by Brandon Thomas Asante. But it'll bounce along the byline and into the arms of Carl Rushworth. Out to the left-hand side, good distribution and a brilliant touch from Thomas Asante, looking for Ellis Sims on the edge of the penalty area, followed by Gabriel. Sims forced wide, needs some support, it's not really arriving for him. Sims twists past Gabriel, goes to ground, referee points to the penalty spot. Coventry with a lifeline, and a yellow card for Gabriel. Tenacious stuff from Ellis Sims, who is being pulled. The question is it inside the penalty area? I'm not so sure. He was right on the line. Well, it's a free kick. Looks to me like Thomas Bramall had pointed to the penalty spot. He's actually just gesturing towards the goal. It's going to be a direct free kick. And here's a fantastic exponent of these sort of set pieces, Matt Grimes. Former Exeter man, Grimes towards the back post, looking for Thomas. Arsenal get it away, Odegaard flicks it on, there's Havertz trying to drive it forward. Frank and Yaker tidying things up. And it's back to Carl Rushworth. Solis. Marquis, Havertz, Solis. Navite wins it back but unfairly according to the referee. Christos Solis down, holding his left shoulder. He's looked lively, Christos Solis. And it's a unceremonious introduction to English football. Van Ewijk. Barge into Christos Solis. He was courted by many in the Premier League in the top flight during his time at Club Brugge. Odegaard, square to Declan Rice. Rice to Ben White. White wide to Bukayo Saka. Saka tries to drive past Ellis Sims. Saka back to his feet. It's against Amenda and bounces over the byline from the corner kick. Might have won a free penalty there, Bukayo Saka, giving more of the contact with Che Da Silva. Ellis Sims it was getting back. They'll take the corner. There's that cure body to the back post again for Arsenal. Saka's in swinger right underneath the crossbar. Drops to Thomas Asante. Odegaard keeps the ball alive for Arsenal. Saka. Odegaard towards the back post, stretching was Thomas. Knocks it wide, where it'll be collected by Christos Solis. Not too far away from the corner. Solis looking for a crossing opportunity. Solis digs the cross out. Havertz was there, but so was Amenda. They'll come straight back at them. Rice, Solis chops onto his right again. Pulled back edge of the box. Calafiore was in Odegaard's way. Arsenal want a penalty for a handball. Looked like it might have rattled off of Van Ewijk. Here's Solis again, gets to the byline, left-footed ball this time. It's off the hip of Matt Grimes. And Schauner, who's fouled not too far away from the halfway line. By Declan Rice, who's frustrated with the lack of support. Well, there were some appeals for a handball as Calafiore took it on. And they had a look at it. VAR. It was Milan Van Ewijk. He did strike his arm, but he was turning his body away. The arm was pinned to his side. Incidentally, VAR this season has been expanded into high-stakes territory for the first time. They can intervene on the decision, leading directly to a player receiving a second yellow card. Previous seasons, a soft or mistaken second booking was untouchable because it wasn't a direct red card. It left officials powerless to overturn clear injustices. In addition, video officials can now examine grappling or obstruction before a set-piece delivery comes into the box if it results in a goal, penalty or card. The league did opt out of several trials as well, including red carding players for covering their mouths during arguments. When the Miguel Almiron was dismissed during the summer tournament for that very reason. Featuring for Paraguay. Mosquera. Here's Saka. Saka to Mosquera. Mosquera to Miles Lewis Skelly. Rice. Odegaard. First time back to Kai Havertz, who's popped up in a midfield position. Mosquera. Gabriel forward. That's given away. Now with Guidetti. Chauner has Van Eyck for company. Chauner again. And that's back to Bobby Thomas. Across the centre circle to Amenda. Thomas again. This is going to be Coventry's problem. They are retreating and just inviting Arsenal on. That's lofted down the right-hand side. It killed out of play. And the end result, throwing for Arsenal. It was a busy pre-season for Arsenal. Friendly against Girona, Real Betis, Borussia Dortmund, Como and Manchester City, of course, in that Community Shield, Principality Stadium. On the first against Girona, 2 defeats as well against Betis and Dortmund. Here in North London. Como on penalties after finishing 1 apiece. The 3-0 win over Manchester City was what really caught the eye. Dominant display against the title rival. There's Thomas Asante. Jay De Silva, Thomas Asante, Sims, Chauner to Van Eyck, trying to create something here, Coventry. Chauner and Yaker. Here's De Silva, corner of the box, lifted in towards the back post. It's flicked away by Solis, headed down by Thomas. Ambitious attempt from the edge of the penalty area by Loom Chauner. It was an awkward-looking bicycle kick, which eventually nestled onto the roof of the net, but for a moment David Raya was worried. Just trying to hook it towards goal. It's the closest they've come to scoring, Coventry. It's come 2.5 minutes before the break. Raya. All the way through to Rushworth. Free delivery from the goalkeeper, taken down by Ellis Sims, but he's eased out of possession by Gabriel. Mosquera. Slightly odd to be commentating on an Arsenal game and not be saying Gabriel and Saliba. Christian Mosquera, joined from Valencia last summer. This is appearance number 41 for the Gunners. Doing friendlies as well. Saka. Ball back to Rice. Rice towards the back post. That one's hooked away by Chauner. Sims will return it to the young Frenchman. Darting away down the right-hand side. Has support from Caleb Iorenci. Has to go backwards to Van Eyck. Grimes. Launches a assault. First time down the right-hand side, which is too far away from Chauner. And David Raya will easily collect in the left-back position. Final minute of the first half, plus, of course, stoppages. There's White. Trying to conduct proceedings downfield. White to Rice. Rice in the centre circle. Finds Solis wide on the left-hand side. Calafiori has joined the attack. He's right in the middle of the penalty area at the moment. Solis chops back to the edge of the box. looking for a shooting opportunity as the Greek international. Lays it off to Ben White. He was caught late there, Christos Solis. Arsenal want a free kick. Thomas Bramall, it's not even an advantage, but a Saka, Odegaard towards the near post where Moreno Mendo was lurking. Turns it behind for a corner kick. Declan Rice is going to check on Christos Solis. He's been in the wars. Have a look at the challenge, which was by Caleb Yarenchi, who's already been shown a yellow card. Harsh to give him a second for that one, but he was definitely caught after the ball had gone. We played the 45 and we'll move into 2 minutes of added time. With the corner kick for Arsenal, Saka. Short to the edge of the box for Odegaard. Odegaard back to Saka, wide on the right hand side. Now Odegaard in the central area. Odegaard low. I think it might just flick off the back of a Coventry defender on the way out of play for another corner. Just caught the heels of Ellis Sims on the edge of the box. As Odegaard relays the instructions to Bukayo Saka. It's his play from the playbook. Short by Saka. Odegaard. Saka. Edge of the box. Rice. Left-footed shot. And not too far away. Carl Rushworth flung himself to his right-hand side. It curls narrowly wide off the left boot of Declan Rice. They're all sucked over to Saka and Odegaard. That leaves the space open for Rice. A bit closer than it was in the end, but Rice has shown time after time that he can certainly hit them from that sort of range. Frank Lampard does not look a happy man. Arms across his chest. Rushworth with the clearance. Won't even reach halfway. And look at an apology from the Coventry City goalkeeper, as Amenda was almost dispossessed, but this time he will find Jay De Silva on the left-hand side. That's backwards to Amenda. Amenda can only find Odegaard. Loops it first time down the right-hand side for Kai Havertz. The flag goes up on the German. That'll be a free kick, but there'll be no time for it as Thomas Bramall blows the whistle for half-time. Arsenal have started the season as they left off last year. Kai Havertz capitalising on Milan van Ewijk dawdling on the ball. Solis was involved, as was Ricardo Calafiori. A lovely finish from the German from the edge of the penalty area. Opened the scoring. And they added to it 8 minutes later. Bukayo Saka with a gift handed to him by Carl Rushworth. Again, Christos Solis darting down that left-hand side. Rushworth tried to intercept the pullback. He palmed it into the feet of Bukayo Saka, who couldn't miss. Tapped it into an empty net. Coventry with a rude awakening and a welcome to top-flight football. Arsenal, well, they are back and they are at their best, at least on the evidence of that first half. At half-time in North London, it's Arsenal 2, Coventry City 0. Back both sides out on the pitch in North London and ready to get underway. Coventry already chasing the game on their return to the top flight. Goals from Bukayo Saka and Kai Havertz, who opened the scoring after 15 minutes, have given Arsenal a comfortable lead at the start of this new top flight season, and it's the Gunners to kick us off at the start of this second half. No changes at the break for either of these two sides. Coventry really struggled to make any impact on the Arsenal penalty area, and the goal, especially as they came, was a speculative effort hooked over his own shoulder by Alain Schauner, the summer signing, which ended up on the roof of the net. Here in London, Arsenal cruising as things stand. It's White to Miles Lewis-Skelly, deputising tonight in place of Bruno Guimaraes, who, if you're only just joining us, is out injured with that knock he picked up in the curtain raiser in Wales last week. It's Gabriel to carry it away. Christian Mosquera. Just to run you through those lineups for Arsenal, it's Raya in goal, a back four of White, Mosquera, Gabriel and Ricardo Calafiori, who set up the opener. Ødegaard, Rice and Lewis-Skelly, Saka and Solis either side of Kai Havertz. Christos Solis has had a hand in both goals. For Frank Lampard's Coventry City, it's Carl Rushworth in goal. Milan van Ewijk, he was dispossessed for the opener. Rushworth palming the ball into the path of Saka for the second. Thomas and the Swiss international and Mender, the two defenders. De Silva on the left-hand side. Yerenci and Yeka and Grimes across the middle. Thomas Asante and Chelna either side of Ellis Sims. And trying to make ground here, Coventry. It was Brandon Thomas Asante who went to ground on that left-hand side. There were two Arsenal defenders in attendance. Referee Thomas Bramall doesn't see fit to blow the whistle. And they'll recycle the ball inside their own half, Coventry. Here's Yerenci. Amenda. Brandon Thomas Asante, early ball, looking for Ellis Sims, and Yerenci, who's playing a more advanced role in these opening exchanges. It's bowled out by David Raya. Forward on the right-hand side with Saka on the overlap. Ben White. White tucks it back. Ødegaard missed his kick, but it will still beat Carl Rushworth. Puts his hand over his mouth, almost in embarrassment, Martin Ødegaard. It was nowhere near the cleanest ball to ever strike, but it still does enough to beat Carl Rushworth. In fact, maybe that's why. It's a third for Arsenal. It took them just a few minutes to nose even further in front. Starts with Ødegaard on the edge of the penalty area, finds Saka, it's White with the overlap, overloading De Silva, pulled back to Ødegaard. Completely mishits it. Bit of a topo. Rushworth gets a hand to it. He's setting off to his right-hand side. Can't prevent it from dribbling over the line. It's Arsenal 3, Coventry City 0. Shrug of the shoulders from the Arsenal captain. Now we'll celebrate it. A bit of a Half-hearted one from Martin Ødegaard. Half-hearted attempt, to be honest. Thomas Bramall having to step in, a bit of a disagreement with Bobby Thomas and Kai Havertz. Coventry City have it all to do now. One from Rushworth, bounces off of the back of Ellis Sim's head. It's a long clearance down the left-hand side. Thomas tussling. Havertz backing in. The referee gives the decision. Kai Havertz his way. Tough night already for Carl Rushworth. Set piece on this left-hand side for Martin Ødegaard to try and create other opportunity for Arsenal. Square to Rice, lofted across the box by Christos Solis, who really has caught the eye on his full top-flight debut. Silva on the far side, and draws the touch off Bukayo Saka. Good throw in for Jay De Silva. As we said, they've invested quite heavily, Coventry. It's a shot from the long way out from Miles Lewis-Skelly, which Rushworth has to tip over the crossbar. And he was, as we've already mentioned, on loan from Brighton last season, £22 million. Kelly Murenchi wasn't too far away from that amount. Siddiqui Sheriff was brought in, the Guinean forward. Lam Shauna, £20 million. Amenda, close to £20 million. Taiwo Awoniyi is on the bench. Gustavo Hamer, Frank Onyeka, Daniel Bentley, Billy Ray Cullinane as well, another Brighton player who's joined Coventry. It's going to be a Arsenal corner here with Declan Rice. That one deep towards the back post. Flicked away by Bobby Thomas. Gets him play on the far side though by Saka. Saka to the right hand side, laid back by Ødegaard. Another throw in. Ødegaard will leave it. And White to the byline. Havertz had just drifted away from the defenders, looking for Saka. Coventry win it back on the edge of their own penalty area. Return ball bypasses Onyeka. Still it's with Ødegaard. Grimes. Onyeka. It's Thomas carefully plotting a course down the right flank. It's back inside to Onyeka. To the left-hand side, back from De Silva to Amenda. Heel from Van Ewijk. Chauner towards the penalty spot. Sims was there, but so was Rice and Mosquera. Flicked away by Saka. This is free of Erdegaard. Chalner, Van Eyck towards the back post, across just too high. And it's Saka tidying it up in the right back position. It's Onyeka, De Silva, Grimes, De Silva. Couldn't catch up with the pass. Saka, it is getting back to put it behind. Coventry have a cup fixture away against Plymouth Argyle in the week. An eminently more winnable fixture, you have to say. It's a learning exercise now, you'd suspect, from Coventry and Frank Lampard. Opportunity for Matt Grimes to just wander across to that far corner where the Coventry supporters are located. He's going to take the corner. And, well, soaking up that round of applause. Thomas Bramall is fiddling with his watch. Seems to be a problem with the strap. The addition of technology makes things easier for many. Also brings its own little gremlins to cope with. It's all right to continue now, Thomas Bramall. And I'll give Matt Grimes the wave. In towards the near post, away by Havertz. Saka with the header down, and Onyeka snapping in, bit hesitant. It's given away. Here's Havertz bursting forward down that right-hand side, tracking in field, finds Martin Erdegaard, tries to slip it through to Christos Solis, looked in an offside position, the flag goes up. Just needs to stay on side there, Solis. Erdegaard hesitated though, is known to do that. It was clearly the pass that was on. Needed to take it on slightly earlier, Martin Erdegaard. It opened up for him. It's a question of how greedy are Arsenal now. We are all over Coventry. We could really set a precedent this evening with a statement win in the opening game of this top flight season. Here's Van Eyck. To Rushworth. Rushworth's long ball towards Sims will be met by the volleying figure of David Raya. Drops to Jay De Silva, who steps in past Ben White. Sims, that's a poor touch. Jay De Silva continued his run, and if he could gather that Sims, he might have been able to just steer it into De Silva's path. Chalner. Onyeka caught in his heels. Lewis Skelly, got his body in the way. Onyeka bites, takes the bait, fouls the Arsenal man. It's a lovely run from Jay De Silva, driving forward and then trying to find Ellis Sims, who's been quiet tonight. But we're hoping to get Haji Wright back to full fitness as soon as possible. Coventry, their top goal scorer last season, was in irrepressible form for the majority of the campaign. There's Calafiori, Rice, Lewis Skelly, for Declan Rice. Rice from Miles Lewis Skelly. Rice to Gabriel. Would you believe it? That miscontrol from Ellis Sims was Coventry's first touch of the game inside the Arsenal box. Here's Erdegaard. Everyone behind the ball in Coventry blue and white, apart from Ellis Sims, who's all by himself on the halfway line. Here's Lewis Skelly. Gabriel. Ødegaard. White. Ødegaard. White to the byline. Lifts it towards the edge of the penalty area. Solis was waiting. It's prodded away by Chalner. Picked up by Gabriel. Across to Mosquera. Lewis Skelly. Declan Rice. Martin Ødegaard to Ben White. Across to Solis. Slips it in for Ricardo Calafiore. Little reverse pass inside left channel. There's a strike from Solis. Took it off Ødegaard. 2 deflections. Carries it wide. That'll be a corner for Arsenal. They're in the mood. Starts with Solis. Clever ball to find Calafiore. Spins on it just near the byline to get away from Llorente. Ødegaard took the touch. Solis took it off of him. Pings off of Matt Grimes and maybe brushes Bobby Thomas on the way out of play. It'll be Rice's corner from this near side again. Really stringing together the patterns, Arsenal. This one goes short. Solis, left edge of the penalty area. Lewis Skelly drops the shoulder and drops into the box. Saka dispossessed on the edge of the penalty area. Here comes Ellis Sims leading forward. Coventry forward in the counter-attack. It was Van Eyck trying to get after it. Just clipped the ankles of Martin Ødegaard, who was putting across. And the free kick goes Arsenal's way. The first change of the game and the season. And it's a Coventry one. And it's the end of the evening for Caleb Llorente. And on comes Victor Torp Ødegaard. Overgaard, excuse me. Victor Torp, as he's known. Was often a substitute last year. Replaces Caleb Llorente. Rice. Saka. To Rice. Ødegaard. Looking for Saka. Here is Thomas Asante. Back with Declan Rice. Ødegaard. Rice. Gabriel. Solis. Off by Havertz. Gabriel finds Lewis Skelly, looking between the lines for Ødegaard. Onyeka snapping in with a challenge. Long ball towards Ellis Sims, who's escaped out to that left-hand side despite the attentions of Declan Rice. He's overrun it though, Ellis Sims. Dribbles off his boot down the play for Arsenal throw-in, swiftly taken by Rice. Mosquera to Gabriel. Now Calafiore. Well, if Frank Lampard wanted an easy bedding-in period to readjust to top-flight life, the fixture computer, well, it had other ideas. According to the statistical body's fixture difficulty indices, Coventry faced the toughest opening 5-game stretch of any side in the division. Following tonight's clash in North London, they host Hull City, their fellow promoted side, before travelling to Manchester City, host Brighton, and then head to the City ground to face Nottingham Forest. Here's Havertz bursting into the penalty area. Across comes Bobby Thomas. And the end result is another Arsenal corner. Some confidence is certainly required. Maybe some unexpected points as well. It's vital before that heavyweight schedule begins to bite. Saka is lurking on the edge of the penalty area for this. 5 at the back post again for Arsenal, including Calafiori, Havertz, White and Mosquera. Gabriel on the penalty spot. Left arm in the air from Declan Rice. This one delivered right into the 6-yard box. Gabriel can't get his head on it. Lashed towards goal by Solis, spilt by Rushworth, turned away by Bobby Thomas. Came spearing through a crowd of bodies in front of Carl Rushworth. Corner's been taken. Solis, Rice. That one will bounce away. Another throw in on the near side. Brings off of Victor Torp. It's a powerful strike from Solis. Close to Carl Rushworth. Still working it back to midfield. There's Mosquera. White. Saka. Van Eyck. Onyeka, left-hand side. Brandon Thomas Asante. Chops to the byline, bounces off Rice, White. Thomas Asante. De Silva, looking for Sims. Thomas, edge of the box, tries to take it on himself. Is that flicked off of Mosquera? Referee doesn't think so. And Coventry surround Thomas Bramall. David Rice taking the goal kick quickly. Coventry have players all around the referee. Let's have a little look at the replay and see if they had a case. But it slipped through the legs of Christian Mosquera. It might have just brushed the heel. Almost caught unawares there, Coventry. Two changes here, though. Coming for Arsenal. Noni Madueke is about to come on. Declan Rice is strolling off towards the sidelines. Martin Zubimendi will be his direct replacement. The Spanish international was a late substitute in the final back on the 19th of July. And Noni Madueke also featured in that same tournament. Jogs on to replace Bukayo Saka, who still needs his workloads managed. He's been in and out with injury, and the start of that European final wasn't fully fit. Part of the England squad in the United States, Mexico and Canada that run to the semi-finals. There's Madueke. To White. Inside to Lewis Skelly. Lewis Skelly to Calafiori. Zubimendi. Lewis Skelly. Gabriel. Zubimendi's first touch. Solis. Solis for Gabriel. Gabriel for Lewis Skelly. Just outside the penalty area. Being hunted by Grimes. Gabriel. Quite spaced down the left-hand side. He's operating as a left winger at the moment. Chauner in his way. Zubimendi across. To foul Loom Chauner. Two further changes. These ones of the Coventry variety. Ellis Sims is going to be taken out of the firing line. And it's a Coventry City debut for Taiwo Awoniyi. And Brandon Thomas Asante departs to be replaced by Jack Rudoni, one of the stars of Coventry City's season last year. But he's made a short move an hour south from Nottingham to Coventry. He's got plenty of Premier League experience, Taiwo Awoniyi. Proven top-flight weapon, though. The Nigerian international has a remarkable knack for troubling Arsenal. He scored 3 goals in his last 5 appearances against the Gunners during his time with Forest. Coventry need a focal point. It certainly is one. This is his first involvement to nod it backwards. Towards Jay De Silva. Mosquera. Mosquera. To Raya. To the centre circle for Solis. This is away from Havertz, but he'll regain control. Odegaard to Zubimendi. Mosquera. To Calafiori. Lewis Skelly. Zubimendi. Wide. Madueke has White in support. Madueke. Odegaard. Tries to curl one. It's away by Thomas. Mosquera moves it on. It's Martin Odegaard. Odegaard to Christos Solis. Calafiori. Looking for Calafiori, and Rushworth claims. Not a bad idea from Miles Lewis Skelly. The 1-2 at the end, and he almost got at the end of it, Ricardo Calafiori. He's caught by the trailing leg of Carl Rushworth as well. All about by Rushworth. It's Bobby Thomas. From Thomas, it's an awkward clearance by Christos Solis, who suddenly found himself in the left-back position. That result in a Coventry City throw-in deep inside Arsenal territory. It's Milan van Ewijk. It's a long throw from Van Ewijk. It's over Thomas's head. Out towards the right-hand side. Van Ewijk will make sure that bounces out of play in front of Christos Solis. Referee will start the countdown. It's on from Van Ewijk. Stooping is Gabriel. Van Ewijk wants it back to halfway for Frank and Jaker. Jaker wide out towards Victor Torp. It's the header across the Thomas, not a little back heel. Looking for Jack Rudoni. Back to Raya, who's been closed down by Awoniyi. Here's De Silva. Samenda. Mr. Onyeka. Grimes in the middle. Only showing forward on the left-hand side to Amenda. Here's Victor Torp. Grimes. Amenda all the way back to Rushworth. Thomas. And Jaker. Moves his body well and draws the foul from Lewis Skelly. Schauner goes down in the aftermath. So Mikel Arteta is readying another change. Two, in fact. Richie Eza and Mikel Merino will be coming on. Christos Solis. It's been a promising debut in the top flight for the Greek international. He'll be replaced by Eberechi Eza, and Martin Odegaard too will stroll off. Here comes Mikel Merino, who scored a couple of goals in the summer for Spain to help them to that title. Away by Rushworth. Calafiori, that's a loose pass. Torp. It's over the top for Awoniyi. Schauner almost linking up with the Nigerian international. Raya cook off his line. Lewis Skelly, base of the centre circle. Bounced off Zubimendi. To Miles Lewis Skelly. Mosquera. Gabriel. To Raya. The long ball for Madueke. Now by De Silva. Marino. Zubimendi. Back to Madueke. Zubimendi into the penalty area. Stooping header is away by Amenda. Held up by Awoniyi. Already looks more of a threat than Ellis Sims before him. Victor Torp though can't keep the ball moving. He was looking for Rudoni. Here's Noni Madueke. It's spun down the outside. Mikel Merino looked for the low drive into the penalty area. In the way was Amenda. There's Jack Rudoni. Left hand side for Coventry. Again launched long towards Awoniyi. He's being held up by Mosquera. That's a brilliant first touch by Taiwo Awoniyi to hold the ball up and start to bring his teammates into play. Torp. Rudoni. Victor Torp. And Jay De Silva. To Torp. Torp to Matt Grimes. The captain's armband this evening. Here's Bobby Thomas. Thomas for Van Ewijk. Thomas. Grimes. Thomas backwards. Shooting into his own half. Rushworth. Now Amenda. Left of centre. Pressed by Mikel Merino. Lifted out to the right hand side by Rushworth. Taken down by Schauner. To the middle for Victor Torp. Probably backwards towards Amenda. Sharp pass down the left hand side for De Silva. Spots the run of Jack Rudoni. The pass was overhit. Might be an Arsenal goal kick. $60,098 in attendance this evening. Not quite a full house in terms of full capacity on this ground. Not far off. Raya. Mr. Schauner. Finds Awoniyi. Gabriel to Mosquera, back to the goalkeeper Raya. Here's Mikel Merino. Calafiori. Eza, left hand side. Merino to Eza. Lewis Skelly. To Calafiori. White. Madueke in a crossing position, pulled back to Zubimendi, who has a bit of time and space. Again out to White on the right-hand side, knotted into the penalty area away from the near post by Amenda. There's going to be another throw-in on this near side. Calafiori is hunting the ball. He's not going to take any further part. She's about to go off, Ricardo Calafiori. Saw his number up on the fourth official's board further down the touchline. And on comes Piero Hincapié as Arsenal's final replacement of the evening. There'll be no Victor Gyökeres. Here's Madueke. Merino, far side of the penalty area, back to Zubimendi on the edge of the box. Real from range, it was always rising. And Coventry are going to respond with a change of their own. Noam Chowner. Sure he'll show his class at some point this season. Tonight probably wasn't really the night for the 22-year-olds. Gustavo Harmer has tasted Premier League football though during his time at Sheffield United. He's a Coventry player again. 4 goals in 36 appearances back in 23-24. Eventually were relegated, Sheffield United. And they just signed last Friday night. Miles Lewis-Skelly's won all 5 of his duels this evening. It's the most of any Arsenal player. Arsenal almost at a walking pace now. They've got the scoreline. Zubimendi. To Mosquera outside the centre circle. Ben White now. Goalkeeper Ashworth, strong down the left-hand side, only finds Ben White. His header nestles at the feet of Zubimendi. And now here's Mikel Merino. Now to pirouette and turn away out to that right-hand side for Noni Madueke. Stepping in onto his left foot, Madueke trying to open up a little pocket of space on the edge of the box. Coventry get it clear out to Awoniyi on the left-hand side as Mosquera backing away in front of him. Taiwo Awoniyi still with the ball. Moved off to Kramer. Torp. Change of passes with De Silva. De Silva. Chakradoni. And enters Zubimendi. Challenge Madueke, won it back. Grimes. Rodoni. Left-hand side for Victor Torp. Swung into Rudoni. Gets his header on it. And it's Coventry's first shot on target. Simple for David Raya. Straight at the goalkeeper. But it's lovely movement from Jack Rudoni. Just peeled away. Tucked in behind Lewis Skelly and Mosquera. Bumped into the back of by Piero Hincapié. Should have done better though, Jack Rudoni. Here's their best chance of the night. Well worked. Right-hand side, Madueke again linking up with Ben White. They're inside Coventry's half of the pitch again. Just probing here, Arsenal, trying to find a fourth. Zubimendi. Lewis Skelly to release Madueke. Too congested on that far side. There's Marino. Hincapié. To Zubimendi in the middle. Now Mikel Marino. For Eberici Eze, left of centre. Let it bounce and can see Bobby Thomas get his body across and shuffle it behind. Rushworth on goal kick duties. Coventry just waiting for that final whistle. Maybe their first goal of the season as well. Not too far away a few minutes ago from Jack Rudoni, but we'll take a bit of confidence in the response at least. Rudoni to Thomas. Thomas to Rushworth. Rushworth for Onyeka. Onyeka to Thomas. Thomas to Rushworth. Here's Matt Grimes. So a long clearance from Carl Rushworth. Header won by Mosquera on halfway. Ball goes inside to Hamer. A 1 year was clipped. It was clumsy from Christian Mosquera. Clever from Taiwo Awoniyi. The arm outstretched from Mosquera. Frank Lampard wants a yellow card for the Arsenal defender. What does he have a set piece? Grimes standing over this. Onto the left-hand side. Still a chance to get that consolation goal that they've been hunting. Bobby Thomas in the mix in the penalty area. It's going to be Jack Rudoni, in fact, to take this from the far side with his right foot. Rudoni deep towards the back post and too deep. David Raya can watch that saw out of play. Victor Torp's free kick. Over hit. Kind of night for Coventry City. All smiles on the Arsenal bench. Martin Odegaard has enjoyed his evening. Here's Raya. Moves away towards Havertz. He'll in the header, but can't find a teammate. Remenda. To the chest of Rudoni. Moving to 4 minutes of added time. This season opener as Madueke bursts clear to Havertz, edge of the box. Havertz! Mikel Merino rather tried to emulate Kai Havertz from the first half. This time Rushworth can get across low down to his left. Keeps that out, prevents the Arsenal fourth. Mosquera. There's Skelly. So bounces off Onyeka. Has now been fed by Rudoni. Now in a central position, Rudoni, right of centre, tries to toe poke it through to Awoniyi. He's unable to keep it in play. Coventry City have looked far more effective with Taiwo Awoniyi leading the line than they did with Ellis Sims. Part of that might be the fact that Arsenal by that point were 3 goals to the good and pretty much sealed all 3 points. Taking their foot off the gas a little. Arsenal. Well, this is the first of the fixtures in England's top flight. It continues tomorrow afternoon. Hull City host Manchester United in the early kickoff before Ipswich Town take on Sunderland. Everton versus Palace and Forest versus Leeds in the 3 p.m. local time kickoffs. Brentford versus Tottenham Hotspur, that's a late kickoff. As is Brighton Hove Albion versus Aston Villa. In fact, that's on a Sunday afternoon. As is Manchester City versus Bournemouth. Big game. Newcastle United play host to Liverpool and Fulham take on Chelsea. With more Friday night football next weekend as Crystal Palace host Manchester City in Pierre Sarge's first game in charge of the Eagles. In the top flight at least. Ben White. So Martin Zubimendi. White. Zubimendi. To the left-hand side for Hincapié. Lewis Skelly. Towards the near post. It was Amenda in the way. There's it. Moving forward. Torp upended. A free kick for Coventry, will there? The Arsenal free kick, in fact, 40 yards from goal. There is it. Took it on. And the referee blows the whistle as that flies behind. And as Thomas Bramall brings it to an end, the reigning champions laid down an emphatic early marker. From the first whistle, Mikel Arteta's side look every inch a team determined to protect their crown. They seized total control in the opening 45 minutes. Heading into the interval with a commanding 2-goal cushion courtesy of strikes from Kai Havertz and Bukayo Saka. Any hopes Frank Lampard had of a second-half resurgence from the Sky Blues were ruthlessly snuffed out just 4 minutes after the restart. Captain Martin Ødegaard's scuffed right-footed effort managed to evade Carl Rushworth. To wrap up all 3 points, it's the perfect opening statement for Arsenal. A 5-star performance week and a club record with 5 straight opening day victories. And with that game, Mikel Arteta joins a very exclusive club. Likes of Mourinho, Guardiola, Alex Ferguson. 150 wins in this league in less than 250 games. For Coventry, this was a harsh, uncompromising reminder of the standards required at the very summit of English football after 25 years away. Lampard's side showed plenty of industry, but they ran headfirst into a well-oiled championship-winning machine. The title defence begins with 3 points, 3 goals, and a clean sheet in North London. Strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 down, hundreds to come in this edition of England's Top Flight. It all continues tomorrow, but here in North London it's finished. Arsenal 3, Coventry City 0.